If you're a parent with a toddler, you might understand the frustrations of when you're driving in the car and your child starts wriggling out of their child restraint harness. So not only is this a frustrating and really a distracting situation for yourself as a driver, but it's also quite an unsafe situation for the child. Because in the event of a crash or even under heavy braking, the child restraint harness is designed to actually help to spread the forces of that crash across the stronger parts of the child's body, which then reduces their risk of injury. So it's really important that the harness is fitted properly at all times throughout the journey. So one of the things to really help you with that is to make sure that the harness is actually fitted properly and that you're using it properly to begin with. So as a general rule, make sure when you're fitting the harness that it's quite a snug fit. So you want it to be quite tight and secure, but you still want to be able to fit about 2 fingers underneath that harness strap, so you're making sure it's not too tight. Also, when you fit in the harness, make sure that there's no twists in the straps as well. Something else to consider is that you're making sure you're using the correct slot for the child's height. You want to use the slot that's closest to the child's shoulders without being more than 25 mil below the child's shoulders. Something else to consider in the cooler months is that if your child's wearing baggy clothes, so like a jumper or a jacket or something like that, those baggy clothes actually create a bit of padding between the harness straps and the child, which makes it more difficult to get a secure fit. But if you've checked all these things and they are okay, then the next thing you should really start considering trying is some behavioural techniques. Parental role modelling is really important when it comes to the development of child behaviours. So when you're getting into the car, make sure you're setting a positive example yourself. So make it really obvious and explain to your child that you're fitting your seatbelt, that you keep it on throughout the whole journey and you don't take it off until you get to the end of the journey. Another good technique you can try that's good to stop difficult behaviours in children is distraction techniques. So although you want to avoid being distracted as a driver, it's always a good idea if your child's occupied in the back of the car, because that way they're not getting bored, they're not even thinking about taking those harness straps off. So as soon as you do notice that your child's starting to wriggle out of the restraint, what you need to do is consider pulling over as soon as it's safe to do so, refitting that harness, and again explaining to the child why you're doing this and why it's important. If you've tried all those things again and you're still not having any luck, then one thing you can actually try as a last resort is a chest clip. RACV did some crash testing with a chest clip and a forward-facing restraint. We actually found that inside impact crashes it had some safety benefits. However, when using it in a frontal crash scenario, we actually found that there was an increased chance that the child's face would make contact with the chest clip. So if you are going to use one of these devices, make sure you're fitting it properly so you're avoiding contact between the neck and the face. And really, once your child's no longer trying to display those negative behaviours and once your child's no longer trying to remove their arms out of the harness straps, then you really should remove the device because it's no longer serving a purpose.